Zohran Mamdani, currently the frontrunner to be New York City's next mayor, is facing heat after comments that he made on the war in Gaza.
In an appearance on Fox News, Mamdani declined to say definitively whether or not Hamas should lay down its arms. Take a look at that.
But you won't say that Hamas should lay down their arms and give up leadership in Gaza.
I don't really have opinions about the future of Hamas and Israel beyond the question of justice and safety and the fact that anything has to abide by international law. And that applies to Hamas, that applies to the Israeli military, applies to anyone you could ask me about.
Those comments came up again Thursday night, mayoral debate between Mamdani, Andrew Cuomo, and Curtis Sliwa. When asked this time, Mamdani said, "Of course I believe that they should lay down their arms." But Cuomo wasn't satisfied with that response, and the former New York governor also brought up Mamdani's association with popular leftist influencer Hasan Piker.
The assemblyman will not denounce Hamas. The assemblyman will not denounce Hasan Piker, who said America deserved 9/11. The assemblyman just said in his response, well, it depends on occupation. That is code, meaning that Israel does not have a right to exist as a Jewish state, which he has never acknowledged.
Mamdani had a response ready, accusing Cuomo of not doing enough to embrace New York City's Muslim community.
It took Andrew Cuomo being beaten by a Muslim candidate in the Democratic primary for him to set foot in a mosque. He had more than 10 years, and he couldn't name a single mosque at the last debate we had that he visited. And what Muslims want in this city is what every community wants and deserves. They want equality and they want respect. And it took me to get you to even see those Muslims as part of this city. And that, frankly, is something that is shameful and is why so many New Yorkers have lost faith in this politics.
Yeah.
Mamdani has maintained his large lead in the mayoral race since winning the Democratic primary in June. The second and final mayoral debate will be held on October 22nd.
Well, it's interesting that he did come out then and say that he thinks they should be disarmed. I thought the interview he did on Fox was mostly successful, and he did well. That was the one area that created a kind of viral moment where I thought it would have been perfectly easy for him to say that without getting into the weeds of the issue. I don't care that much, honestly, about his opinion. When they've tried to go after him for not being sufficiently pro-Israel or whatever, he's mayor of New York City. It doesn't matter to me. It feels like a little bit of a distraction. But this was a rather direct question that he dodged rather directly, that I don't know why you wouldn't just say, well, yeah, they're a terrorist organization. Ideally, they would not possess weapons, especially when I looked back and in 2022, again, he was pretty woke pretty recently, tweeted like, we need to ban or confiscate or whatever it was. We need to ban all guns. Okay, you have no problem saying we need to ban all guns, but we can't ban guns specifically for Hamas. That seems like a flaw in your ideology, but he addressed that, so I'll move on.
So to the point about it's a New York City mayoral race, it shouldn't really matter. I think it does, in fact, matter what view people take of that conflict, because it goes to issues of judgment, and many people, including me, think issues of sort of basic morality about the world. So in Mamdani's case, you have someone who has been very critical of Israel's conduct in various ways. And in Andrew Cuomo's case, you have someone who volunteered to join Benjamin Netanyahu's defense team. That, to me, I think there are a lot of New Yorkers for which that divide is simply the divisive issue. Many, if I was casting a ballot, I would obviously be on Mamdani's side of that question. I accept that people are on Cuomo's side of it as well. In relation to the Hamas arms question, what he said in the debate last night was that both sides should put down their arms and that a ceasefire should mean that there should be a cessation, which seems a completely valid point to me. And what it seems to me he was getting at in the Fox interview on that issue was the propensity for people to assume that 100% of the responsibility for making peace lies with Hamas's actions, when in fact the last time there was a ceasefire it was Israel that broke it, and here there are questions about breaches of the ceasefire also from Israel's direction. Now, I hope the ceasefire lasts, I hope it endures, I hope it becomes a durable peace, but I think there is an understandable reluctance from people of Mamdani's point of view, or of my point of view for that matter, to be boxed into this idea where it becomes all about Hamas when in fact it's not all about Hamas.
look, with respect, I think that can sometimes feel like a false equivalency is being established, or an equivalency is being established between Hamas and the government of Israel. Like, Hamas should be disarmed and should not be in charge of the Palestinians. The Israeli government, this specific Israeli government, Netanyahu, I would be happy to have him voted out of office. I think even if you're supportive of what Israel is doing, he presided over this awful collapse of Israeli security, this awful thing that happened. I think it would be better for democracies to vote out their leaders when something goes catastrophically wrong. But he can be voted out and might be voted out because it is a democracy. They have a democratic government that he has tried to, you can say, argue, has chipped away at in various ways. But the infrastructure of the governance, not this specific administration, but the governance of Israel, I think is not illegitimate in the way that Hamas's leadership of Gaza is illegitimate, in that they seized power from the other Palestinian political faction and then banned elections and have persecuted them. So they don't have even if I'm not. They're illegitimate to me in a way that the Israeli government is not illegitimate. I may disagree with it. I may think its current leaders should be voted out of office, but there should be, this structure of government should rule Israel. This structure should not rule Gaza, is what I would say.
So, without getting too deep into the weeds of events 20 years ago or whatever, I mean, the reason that there was the clash between Hamas and the Palestinian Authority was that Hamas won the elections in Gaza, even though the Palestinian Authority is much stronger in the West Bank, and the Hamas electoral victory was not recognized and was, that just wasn't permitted to go through. Now, you can argue about that one way or another. I think the broader point here, Robbie, is, and this has occurred in debates about this topic a lot of times, people who are being occupied have a right to resist that occupation. I understand that lots of people don't like that or object to it or would like that not to be the case. But that is, in fact, a right that is outlined in international law, and I think is a morally justifiable position. I do not, to be very clear, think that justifies going in and murdering civilians, children or adult civilians for that matter, anybody. I mean, the things that happened on October 7th were clearly war crimes. Right. But the idea that it is just, that this is unrelated to the Israeli occupation of Palestine or Israeli actions, I think that's what people have problems with.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a complicated issue. We all have a right to resist tyranny on some level, certainly. I think resistance that is going to be completely ineffectual and result in countermeasures that get everyone killed and the whole place destroyed are so futile as to be ill-advised. And I would say that to oppressed people I'm even more unambiguously sympathetic to in China or in Eastern Europe or wherever, where I'd say, this is what's being done to you is wrong, but don't fight back with no plan to actually win and just get everyone killed. You got to be a little bit practical about it. Well, we're about to wrap, but anyway, going back to the Mamdani issue of it all, if I was totally against his foreign policy, like dead set against it, and I preferred his tax and regulatory policies, I would vote for him without a heartbeat. I would not care, actually. That is not the case. Actually, it's the other way. I am against his tax and regulatory policies and ambivalent about his Middle Eastern views.
Fair enough.
So that's not the correct combination to win my endorsement.
No free buses winning Robbie over.
No.
Up next, the White House is unveiling a new project to commemorate the 250th anniversary of the United States. We'll be right back after this.